The Vikings Report with Drew, Ted, and Chris. Look, we're not doing a movie tonight. We got a lot of stuff we got to cover. As always, go to our website, affiliate Purple Pain Forums. That's purplepainforums.com as Drew is setting his bomb timer, as he does every week. Chris is our designated survivor tonight. He's in a safe location away from everybody else. And Chris also runs the SB Nation Minnesota Vikings website, dailynorseman.com. He founded it in 2006. He's still the lead blogger. He is a blogging Iron Man. Bloggers come and go, but like cockroaches, Twinkies, in a nuclear war, Chris will be the only blogger left standing. Chris, how are you doing tonight, brother?
I am doing all right, man. I mean, we're on the precipice of another matchup with the Bears. They keep putting these games on Monday night for whatever reason, even after that crap fest we put together last year on Monday Night Football against the Bears. For some reason, the National Football League said, yeah, we want to run that one back, so let's do that again. But yeah, it is Winter Warrior Week at US Bank Stadium. So if you are attending the game, please wear your whitest whites, if at all possible. No, I'm doing all right. Happy to be here with you guys once again.
Drewster, how are you doing, brother?
I'm happy because Chris was a big winner this week, man. Woo! That calls for it. We haven't seen the super gun in a while, but this calls for it. And it doesn't work because the batteries are dead. It's a gun, folks. It's a gun. The money shoots out. Ted, you've seen it.
I have.
My team hasn't worked for most of the season, so that's really kind of okay.
I was so excited to use this thing tonight.
Way to troubleshoot your equipment before we go on camera. Well done. Good job.
Just like my bass, start playing it on stage going, there's no sound. Well, we need sound, dumbass.
Well, Chris, congratulations. 14 weeks in, and you're 1 for 14.
1-13, baby. Woo!
Not off the schneid. Matter of fact, I broke these out tonight just to remind people, Ted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your first and second place winner, that Justin Jefferson jersey. And is that Brad Johnson or Stephon Diggs? Stephon Diggs jersey. Yeah, Stephon Diggs.
I mean, people might say, what about Stephon Diggs? He may end his career here. You don't know.
You never know. Never know.
Beautiful Justin Jefferson brand new jersey.
So those are your first and second place winners. Ruby, I would say hi to you, but once again, she's busy and she's having technical difficulties. So anyways, I'm going to say hi anyways because maybe she'll quit making fun of me and quit mocking me.
There's no chance. No chance.
There's not a snowball's chance in hell.
Real quick on the no one cares about your fantasy team.
Yeah.
Dan Lee is now within 11 of Doc Proto, who's been leading this thing. I mean, he's been charging out of the gate and leading it. He's within 11 points after 14 weeks of play. That's crazy. Doc Proto won a prize off the wheel, off our live show wheel.
Yeah.
He sent me a private message that says, hey, Drew, I'd like to donate that prize to somebody else because I think that wheel ruined my mojo. And Dan Lee's catching me now. So I'd like to donate my wheel prize to another fan, which is very cool by him. He's done this a few times. He's also given to the show, prizes to the show. So he goes, I want my mojo back. I need to get my lead back for that Jefferson jersey. So I'm going to donate my win on the wheel prize.
I have my superstitions, and I fully believe in sports superstitions. I do. Always have, always will.
I'm a little bit stitious, but not superstitious.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Doc is an OG fan, and my current sports superstition is Fire Ryan Day. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways. What we are going to do is post this week's selections for our Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team selections. So, Ruby, if you would, post them. I asked Ruby, hopefully she would, be nice to me. And we have a little private messaging thing over here out of the side of this recording program. And she texted me because her mic isn't working. She says, fat chance, Ted. So thanks, Ruby. I love you too.
Ted was up 91 to something, and Chris needed like 20 points from Chase Brown. And Ruby's going, God, I hope Chase Brown gets it.
We've got a group chat, and when Chris passed me, she just this large, huge woohoo. And Drew and Ruby live like 45 miles away from me. I opened up my window, and I think I heard Ruby yelling woohoo. So anyway.
I didn't celebrate as much as Ruby did, I don't think. That's
No.
kind of weird.
Look, we have a kind of a non-standard preview. We normally do the big board preview. We're not going to do that this week because it was just less than a month ago that the Bears played the Vikings. But we are going to do news and notes. We are going to do a preview. But before we do that, Drew?
Ted?
What time is it?
I'm cooler than you are. And I'm cooler than Caleb Williams. So why don't you fix any problems? Get this team going on the way to 12-2. And my God, light this candle.
He's right. Light this Winter Warrior candle.
He surely is. Let's light this candle.
Resume the countdown.
All right, I'm cooler than you are. Why don't you fix your little problems and light this candle?
He's right. Let's light this candle.
He surely is. Light the candle.
Yes. Resume the countdown.
Perfectly. Didn't even see your lips move there.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the preview, we talked about like some goofy, complicated Vikings playoff clinching scenarios last week. It is very clear cut this week. If the Vikings win or tie, they're in. But before the Monday night game, a couple other clear cut things happen. The Vikings could very well be in the playoffs before they even take the field Monday night. If Seattle loses or ties to that team from Wisconsin and they're at home, the Vikings are in the playoffs. So are we cheering for Green Bay?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Hell no.
I'm cheering for San Francisco, though.
Yeah. And we got to get one win in the next 4 weeks. That's not enough to compel me to cheer for Green Bay or anything. So
Yeah.
if we can't get one win in the next 4 weeks and the Rams run the table or something, we don't deserve a playoff spot anyway. So
I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Rams and the Seahawks play each other again, correct?
they do. They play in week 18. They can't both run the table.
Right. Even if the Vikings have a semi-historic collapse, and I'm not saying it's going to happen because I think they're playing too well right now for that to happen. One of those teams has to lose, or even if they tie, the Vikings are in, are they not?
I would think so. I haven't worked out all those scenarios yet, but
I don't know. It just seems like the Vikings are pretty much in the playoffs at this point, but that's just me.
the Rams, I believe, are the only team that can prevent the Vikings from getting into the playoffs. They've got 6 losses, and the next 3 teams, I believe, have 7 losses, and the Vikings have already beaten all the teams that have 7 losses anyway. I think the only scenario where the Vikings don't make the playoffs is they lose out and the Rams run the table.
Not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. So they're going to be in. It's just a matter of when.
Makes me think about something that's been bothering me.
Hemorrhoids acting up again?
No, you know what? They always say, first off, when I was getting angry about this, that laughter cures anger. What's the saying?
Laughter is
the best medicine?
You know what's the best medicine? Throwing shit at a wall, like remote controls. That's the best medicine. I get angry when I look at a lot of posts, and there's a lot of them, about Sam Darnold. You know, next year, McCarthy and Darnold got to sign him next year, and them drafting next year and next year and next year, one after another. And I finally wrote on there, what is wrong with people? We're 11-2. We're in the mix to win the Super Bowl this year. You wait all off season to watch your team play. You wait all off season. The journey starts about draft time and carries you all the way to February. We're having this magical season, and all you can do is post after post about signing Darnold, Chris Gates, and what's McCarthy going to do. It's like going to a Pink Floyd freaking concert and looking at your phone all night. You're not enjoying what's going on right in front of you. And I'm sick of people talking about next year. There's only 5 teams that I have written down on my sheet somewhere in here that are going to win the Super Bowl. I did all the homework. There's only 5 teams that are going to win it.
Who are your 5 teams, Drew?
Buffalo, KC, Eagles, Lions, Vikings. That's it.
Sounds right to me.
And I know the Steelers are 10-3. I don't want to cheat them out. They probably have a better head coach than everybody I just mentioned. They're 10-3. They just feel like they're not for real 10-3. All those teams I just mentioned, you got a good quarterback, a defense. You know how to capitalize on turnovers, get turnovers. That's it, folks. There's 27 teams that aren't going to make it. You're one of the 5. Enjoy the Pink Floyd concert that's going on in front of you. I don't know why it bugs me. You guys can voice in, but it really bugs me.
Go ahead, Chris.
And I understand. I mean, I contribute to that a little bit as a writer myself over at DN. I mean, we did one post. My honest opinion is that Sam Darnold has completely priced himself out of being the Vikings starting quarterback next year. And, like I said, after that one post, I kind of left it alone and didn't really say anything else about it. But I'm trying to enjoy this season because all the really smart football people out there, like I said, had this team winning about 5 or 6 games. This team's been playing with house money since about October. I mean, we all had them at 12-5, but we didn't even expect,
Right.
this at this point. So just trying to enjoy what we've got going on now. So talking about a little bit is one thing, but it's not something we need to obsess over a couple weeks before Christmas when the Super Bowl is still, on the horizon.
I could understand, guys, if we were 5-8 or 4-9. Go ahead. Let's discuss all the contracts next year. The season's over if we're 4-9. I can understand that, Chris. Post all you want. We're in the middle of a Super Bowl run, baby. I can give a shit less about what's going to go on with the quarterback next year right now.
If the Vikings were 4-9 or 5-8 or under 500 and pretty much out of playoff contention, Sam Darnold coming back next year wouldn't even be in the discussion right now. That wouldn't even be a question. It would all be about, you'd be getting 14 posts a day about how's J.J. McCarthy's knee coming? Has he had 3 or 4 procedures instead of 2? Which he hasn't even had 2 procedures. He's only had 1 freaking procedure. That's it. This was a 1-year deal for Sam Darnold to get a chance to get one more payday next year, not with the Vikings, because the entire philosophy of Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was to get a quarterback on a rookie deal to develop and build the rest of the team around him to go and win a Super Bowl, just like the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. They've not swayed from that. And all that said, I don't care. Next year will take care of next year come February, March, and April when this season is over. I'm enjoying Sam Darnold. I am enjoying the Sam Darnold renaissance. I love what Sam Darnold is doing. I love that Sam Darnold is living up to his selection as a 3rd-round pick at the 2018 draft after everybody wrote him off as a bust and everybody said he sucked and everybody laughed at the Minnesota Vikings for signing him in March or April or whenever the hell it was they signed him and said, you guys are going to be the worst freaking team in the NFL. And how do you like us now, baby? How do you like us now? You got it legitimately in the discussion for being the NFL MVP. He threw 5 touchdown passes for the Vikings last week, which hasn't happened since, Chris, you had the number, was it like Dante Culpepper?
Yeah,
2004, Dante Culpepper. I mean, that hasn't happened in 20 freaking years. And I don't think that's happened for the Bears since Sid Luckman did it in 1942. I mean, God damn it. Enjoy it, man. This doesn't have, look, I was a kid watching the Purple People Eaters do this shit every week, and It was fun. Enjoy it. I'm done.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you, as Michael Scott would say.
Absolutely.
It's been a magical year. The storyline of Sam Darnold has been great. Let's all just enjoy this season. I mean, oh, wait. You don't want to see my mock draft stuff right now?
No, I don't.
No.
I saw that today, too. Here's my
Ruby, kick him off the show.
That's why I decided to speak up tonight, because I'm sick of seeing all this stuff with the peripheral stuff. What about now? Enjoy Pink Floyd. When they had the 600-foot disco ball fall from the sky, I was there. I was there in 1980 at the Wall concert, and I was never... Well, I was doing a couple things, but I was paying attention to the show the whole time.
I don't want to delve into the realm of politics on this show, but I hope the first thing when the new administration, the new Congress take office, I hope the first piece of legislation they enact is to outlaw mock drafts until after
Easter
free agency is over. Like, I want that a federal law. I want it to be like, and you are subject to you are subjected to 5 years in prison, a $50,000 fine, or both.
This kind of behavior is never tolerated in Boracua.
Mock drafts.
They put you in jail right away.
Yes.
That's the first law I want passed. I want it passed unanimously in the House, in the Senate, and I want it signed by the president. With how the president-elect has a signature like that big. That's the first law I want passed. Mock drafts are outlawed until after the first wave of free agency is over.
I'm right with you,
Makes sense to
Smitty.
me.
I like the way you think about that.
All right. Real quick, Vikings are currently firmly in control of the 5th seed. Green Bay is a 6th seed at 9-4. Washington is a 7 at 8-5. The Vikings still have a shot to win the NFC North. They've got the outside shot at the top seed. This week, the top seed Detroit is home against Buffalo. I would argue that if the Vikings want to win the North, Buffalo has to beat Detroit this week. Are we in agreement there?
Yes.
Yeah, the Buffalo game is the best chance for the Lions to take a loss. Hopefully the Bills are plenty pissed off after last week.
If the Bills beat Detroit this weekend, right, Ted, and we win out, we get the first seed and the division title.
Yes, if that's the case, then the last game of the year would be us on the road at Detroit for the division title. And depending on what Philadelphia would do,
Sure.
I think if they have 2 losses, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, you may know this better than I do, but if the Vikings finish with 2 losses and the Eagles finish with 2 losses,
Who gets
the Vikings would have the top seed, I think, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Just looking at the NFC standings, Philadelphia has a conference record of 7-2. The Vikings are 6-2. So yeah, that would be the first tiebreaker if it came down to it. I'm not sure what the tiebreakers after that are.
This weekend, Philadelphia is playing.
They've got Pittsburgh at home.
They've got Pittsburgh at home. And because the Vikings beat Atlanta last week and Tampa Bay won, if the playoffs were to start today, the Vikings would travel to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers.
The Eagles have a cakewalk. Well, not really a cakewalk because week 16 they play at Washington, but then their last 2 weeks they're at home against Dallas and they're at home against the Giants. Those are basically bye weeks.
So the Steelers have to give them their 3rd loss this week.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
And then Buffalo beats Detroit. Philly loses to Pittsburgh. We win out, and it's stroke me.
I'll take a hard pass on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We're number
stroking.
1 seed if that happens. Go Steelers. Go Tomlin. Let's roll this week.
And look, the Commanders are no pushover team. I would argue right now, this is just my opinion, Jaden Daniels is probably the rookie of the year. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, they're probably going to get it. I don't think these rook dog quarterbacks from this big draft have really disappointed at all. They're all doing pretty good, aren't they?
And the best one hasn't even played yet. So
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But I think if the Vikings have any shot to win the division, and I think the number 1 seeds, Detroit has to lose this week if the Vikings want to win the division. If the Vikings are going to win the division and have any shot at the number 1 seed, Detroit has to lose this week.
There's not a good matchup playing Buffalo.
No,
but the Rams get in the playoffs, man. They're healthy now. They looked freaking scary good last week against Buffalo.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
All right, look, Robert W. Farnsworth is just chirping in my ear to give us this game preview. So let me bring him on, and we'll.
Hasn't had his gin tonic yet.
Yeah, he needs some gin and juice. So
with the football on my money and the football on my mind.
Hello, everybody. Robert W. Farnsworth here. This week, our Winter Warriors, our streaking Winter Warriors, welcome the ice-cold Chicago Bears and head coach, Mike Ditka, no, Gerard, no, Dave Wannstedt, they have a head coach. Somebody is the head coach to US Bank Stadium this week. Wait. It's Thomas Brown. He's the interim head coach. They welcome them to US Bank Stadium on Monday Night Football. Will the Vikings continue their winning ways and the Bears their Bears ways? We'll find out. Drew, let's just talk about the last game. Why don't you kick it off? What were your things that you noticed from the last game that really, or what do you want to talk about the last game? The Vikings won 30-27 in overtime. They blew an 11-point lead with 2 minutes to play. They had a 99.9% chance to win it. Then the Bears tied it and had a 99.9% chance to win it. And the Vikings overcame that. Sam Darnold had one hell of a drive in overtime, overcoming, multiple first and long, second and long, third and longs to get John Parker Romo down into a manageable field goal, game-winning field goal, which he did. Vikings get out of there.
This game is not going to go anywhere along the lines of that. He had a great game, the quarterback, Caleb Williams. I think it was his best game of the season. They had the long kick return to set up the thing, and then the touchdown and fluky onside kick. It's not going to happen this time. It's completely different than what went on in that game. But the Vikings probably would have lost that game 3 years ago, but they didn't. They win these games when they're supposed to lose. But it came down to the wire. The game didn't really seem that close. But I have one area I'd like to talk about that hopefully will change going into this week, and that's that bubble screen. If you don't know what a bubble screen is, I'm going to throw some at you because we couldn't freaking stop it. And it was angering me to the point of, it was making me a little mad. As we look, these are the wide receiver screens that DJ Moore we couldn't stop. And I think Keenan Allen had a few too. As you notice, they're not playing this thing right. They're not adjusting to it. You got to flank the guy back inside, keep him off the sidelines. It was the only play that was working for the Bears. And they kept doing it until the Vikings stopped them, which they didn't stop them. They got the last touchdown they got was on that stinking play.
It was.
They ran it about 13 times, and the Vikings never answered to it. I'm going to have my eye out this week. I mean, teams do it when they don't really have a passing attack, and they're playing a aggressive defense, and their offense, they don't have their shit offense. That's the play the bubble screen was made for teams that can't move the ball. It's all they had. Swift had no yards on the ground. And they had one play that was working for him. That and the Komet square out was working for him, and the Vikings couldn't stop it. That's the only reason they were even in this game. This is not going to be anything like how that game went. Vikings played poorly, but that's also the game when the scoring started turning around. The offense started turning around in that game. I mean, that's the game we lost Ivan Pace in. We got one more week without him, but the Vikings started rolling that offense around, Chris. I mean, the big day by Addison, that was his career day, if you remember that. We all remember that.
Up until last week.
Yeah, up until last week. But the offense started rolling about that game, and then they got things going the next week, and then, it seems like the offense kind of woke up in that game a little bit.
I thought the Vikings, for the most part, other than those few big plays, Caleb Williams was the Bears' leading rusher. I thought the Vikings did a good job containing DeAndre Swift in the rushing game. They only had, I think, 78 yards rushing.
Something like that, yeah.
I thought, for the most part, they had that game under control, but they blew this, 11-point lead in the last, or 16, whatever it was, in the last 2 minutes of the game?
It was 27-16.
Okay. What were your thoughts on how the Vikings collapsed and how they can prevent that from happening on Monday night?
I mean, like Drew said, that bubble screen is just a killer, and I don't know why. I mean, this defense is athletic enough where it shouldn't be something that just rips them apart. They need to know where Keenan Allen is, because I think the last 2 games against the Vikings, he's caught 87 passes. He had that game when he was with the Chargers.
Yes, last year.
And he caught like 17 or 18 passes in one game. So
didn't he have 200 yards receiving in that game last year, or am I off?
He had like 16 catches in that game.
Yeah, but the bubble screen should not kill this team the way it does. But, like Drew said, it has. But they need to basically do what they had been doing, keep the run contained. Allen had 18 for 215 yards in that game in 2013 again. Plus, he completed a pass of his own for 49 yards. So, yeah, they need to do what we saw against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta got the run game going a little bit. That's been a bit of a sore spot, because if the Bears can't run the ball, they're not going to be able to do anything else, because the atmosphere at US Bank Stadium is going to be a whole lot different than it was at Soldier Field a couple weeks ago. The crowd should be just amped. He's not going to have the luxury of a cooperative crowd when he's on offense. And as far as what they need to do on offense, they just need to continue what they've been doing the last few games. I mean, Sam Darnold had that terrible half of football against Jacksonville a few weeks ago where he had the 3 turnovers or whatever. He hasn't turned the ball over since then. He has no interception since then. I think he might have got credited for a fumble that was probably actually Aaron Jones's fault, but he hasn't had an actual turnover since that game in Jacksonville. And the only way a team like the Bears is going to be able to beat a team like the Vikings is if you give them extra opportunities. And you don't ever predict an easy win for the Vikings or a blowout, but they can make it a whole lot easier on themselves.